Welcome to the third episode of Brent Locked In, a series exploring amazing and wonderful personalities made here in Northwest London, in Brent. My name is Majeed. I'm a TV and radio presenter and a podcast creator. Born and bred here in Brent, and I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be right now. So on this third episode, I'm kind of gassed because I'm an Arsenal fan. We are joined by the first ever registered female footballer in England, someone that went on to win 27 major trophies. I'm sure she's heard this so many times, but I'm going to say it again so you guys know. And she was capped 129 times for England. Obviously, I'm talking about Rachel Yankey. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm good, thank you. You're right.
Sorry to say so much about you, man. It must get a bit annoying.
It's all right. It's all right. Well, I'm struggling. I'm wrestling with a 2-year-old at the moment. So
it's all good, man. It's all good. I was going to say, for those of you who obviously don't know you like I do, why don't you just give us a little lowdown of you and what you do?
Well, I used to play football. Obviously I grew up in Brent, in Queen's Park, and probably started playing football. First pitches were probably Willesden Sports Centre. And then went on to play for Arsenal and for England. Signed as the first pro in the country when I signed for Fulham many years ago.
How are you dealing with quarantine? How is that treating you?
To be honest, it's not too bad. It's just pretty much like being a parent of a 2-year-old. This is what we do. You want to get up? Okay, you sit here.
So everything during the day is kind of revolving around her right now.
Yeah. I mean, we can't go to the baby clubs, and we obviously can't see my mum. But other than that, obviously the rest of the family, but other than that, it's pretty normal. We're just sort of playing around. I mean, I'm fortunate to have a garden, so we go outside.
You grew up in Queen's Park. What were your earliest memories of growing up there?
Earliest memories, I suppose the two boys that lived across the road from me, Michael and Lawrence, we used to go down the park to Queen's Park and play football. That was probably my biggest memories, is that loads of people used to just meet up in the middle of the park and, just gather around and play big group games of football. And as a youngster, probably, I don't know, I was probably about 8 years old, something like that. Back in them days, it was all right to go down the park on your own and with your mates. You obviously don't do it now. But we're playing football with like much older kids, teenagers, but it's just one of those things. So they're my memories.
Okay, lit. Well, the next question was about the first time you kicked the ball. I'm guessing it was when you used to go to the park and play with your mates from across the road. Or is there like a specific memory where you just remember like this is where it all started?
No, I'm sure my mum would have a memory. She sort of always said that, from a very early age, I always sort of was running around or running past people or kicking a ball or doing something sporty. I remember, early on we used to just go down the park, me and my brother, and just play, whether it was football or cricket or whatever it was, just go down there and play some sort of sport. So but I can't remember one sort of light bulb memory of like, that's the first time I kicked the ball. I have no clue.
Okay. You went to Mallory's, right? Was that primary school, isn't it? Yeah. So
Mallory's primary school. Yeah.
What were you like in primary school? Was it something like you were always, I'm on the sport? Obviously, at that age, you're not really into academics, man. Like I don't remember doing anything like that other than SATs in year 6. It's all about going out the playground, kicking a tennis ball around, trying to score goals and stuff. So, like, what were you like in school in primary school? Do you have any like recollection of that?
I think both of the schools that I went to, secondary and primary, weren't very sporty.
Okay.
So they didn't. Their main focus wasn't sport. Where that was the one thing that was going to get me through. So I lived for break time. I probably, I wasn't the most academic. I found out. Well, it's just, I don't know. It was just one of those things. I found out, I sort of hid through primary school. I wasn't a bad child, but, I suppose I learned in a different way to other people. I was more where I had to go and do it rather than, you know, read something or visualize something. So I liked things where it was very practical and going and being able to do that. Mallory's was quite a musical school. I
Okay.
remember being in the choir. God, I don't know
Jeez,
who
come
let me
on.
in that. You know, when I hear my voice, it must have been a bad time. They must have been desperate. But I remember we played. We did a lot of instruments. Like, I mean, I think every kid played the recorder, but
Come
played the
on.
cello.
Go on here.
No, I was awful, man. I was just lied. I just put the bow to the
You had a cello, yeah?
strings, but I didn't want to touch it. Yeah, I wasn't the best. But no, school was. I mean, it was all right, but it wasn't. You know, I
What you
didn't
wanted
get the
to do?
greatest grades before in secondary school. Before my GCSEs, I found out I was dyslexic.
Yeah.
And I kind of hid that the whole way through school.
You said you hid that, but do you think that actually kind of maybe, how did that make you feel at the time of the diagnosis? Because that's not, obviously as a kid, that's not, whenever you're diagnosed with anything, it is probably not the nicest thing to go to, especially when you're like 11 or 12 or something. And having to hide that couldn't have been the easiest thing either, especially when it's something that kind of like affects your day-to-day life like that.
Yeah, I think, you know what, kids can be horrible and ruthless. Like, so really, as a when you're in school, you just want to survive. If that, I know that's probably sounds like a bad way, but you just want to get through it and, you know, enjoy yourself, get through your classes, don't look inferior to anybody else, and you know, just sort of be part of everything that it is, and not be sort of isolated in any way. So I knew, and my mum knew, that I had a problem with reading. And I remember she used to speak to the teachers, and they used to take me out of class to do sort of special reading classes. But each time it wasn't a consistent teacher, so it was a different person. So when someone says for me to choose my book, I just chose the same book, and I knew the book. So to them, I could read perfectly well.
I was gonna say, it's like when you go to a doctor's with like a knee pain, and then it's a different doctor every time. You have to keep explaining the same thing to them every single time.
Yeah.
Like, it's very difficult to get consistency. You know, it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah. But as a kid, you don't want to let weakness. So
100.
for me, that was the easiest way. Looking back at it as an adult, that wasn't the best way to do it, because I really didn't get the help that I needed, and I probably could have progressed and got better grades that I had if someone in primary school had really, you know, recognized and helped me, and I'd been willing and acceptance of the help. I suppose I didn't want to lose face and I wasn't brave enough, really, which as an adult, it's disappointing to think as a child, you know, that you weren't able to do that.
Yeah, but you didn't turn out too bad, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's all part of the learning. It's all
I'm
part of the
alright,
learning
Bubble.
process, isn't it? Hindsight is a beautiful thing for us. I suppose it's just something, as we grow older, we can kind of like pass down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Innit? It's like, it's all, the best kind of like advice is like lived experience. So I think that's obviously something you probably pass down to your daughter and to your kids and stuff. So yeah, come on, man. Like, it's very easy to be hard on ourselves looking back at school. I do the same thing. Like, I remember I had my GCSE mocks, and instead of revising, I was playing like my PSP for like 10 hours a day. Do you know what I'm saying? I could have got better grades if I'd actually done some reading, but you know, I'm pleased with where I am today, and I suppose that was just part of the process. Did you always know you wanted to be a footballer, or was it something or a moment that inspired you to kind of like say, you know what, I can do this. This is what I want to do properly?
I always loved playing football. Just something about the game, and also I suppose I felt that football came easy to me, and when people used to sort of speak and say how good I was, and you know, I suppose off your peers, you gain a sort of respect, and it makes you feel, you know,
that playground cred,
sort of uplifted. So yeah, you want to fit in, don't you? You know, not until quite late on, well, I was like, what, 15, 16, I didn't even really know about Arsenal ladies until I joined them. So my early, you know, year 7, I still thought, no girls play football, and
That's mad.
it was only moving into like the girls football team that showed me there were so many more girls playing football, and the wider picture. But I didn't know about like an England team. I didn't know that, definitely in year 7 I didn't know that there was an England team.
That's mad.
But I doubt I even knew about Arsenal until I sort of went there. So for me, when people say, "Oh, did you know that that's what you wanted to do?" I loved playing football and I always wanted to play it, but it was more of a hobby. It wasn't like I was setting out to become a professional footballer. That was going to be my be all and end all, because it wasn't a realistic dream, because I didn't see anybody out there doing it. So I suppose that's why for the majority of my career I always worked. So because I sort of that's the way.
You had a backup just in case, isn't it?
Yeah. Because and I think you need that, but also for the majority of my career, I wasn't a professional footballer. I was a semi-pro footballer, which in women's semi-pro football, it doesn't pay you a lot of money. You can't live off what it pays you. So you needed a job, and that was the same for all the other players, even the ones that were playing for England. That's just the way it was. It's different now, which is brilliant, but that's the way it was back then.
Yeah, it's mad. It's very difficult, like you said, to envisage something in the future when it's like never really been done before, innit? And it's hard to put that pressure on yourself to be like, you know what, I'm going to be the first person to do it. It takes some sort of like serious self-belief and character, and at that age it's very difficult to have that naturally. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously you went on to do amazing stuff that we're going to get into, but yeah, you're right, man, it must have been hard.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of pathway, because when you look back at it, there were so many women playing football. It was just like it was the biggest secret in the world, because there was an England team, there was an Arsenal team. Okay. It just wasn't in your face. You didn't know about it. So there were many more female footballers playing at a high level and being brilliant before me. Yeah. It wasn't out there. So yeah, it was kind of a hidden role, and one that obviously passion takes you through to discovering, and then your ability gets you more and more, and then obviously the game starts to progress. There's more interest from outside people, so I think it all kind of interlinked, timing wise.
One of the stories that you share, or I've heard a lot of, is when you were a kid, like shaving your hair off, sorry, so you could play football with your mates, and you had to like pretend to be a boy basically. But do you feel like when you grew up, there wasn't much exposure on the women's football game? Obviously you thought there weren't any out there, obviously they were, but you weren't aware of them. Things are very different now, and you are one of the players, or one of like a group of players that kind of paved the way for football and how it is now. Is that a title you accept, or how does that make you feel when people say that to you?
Yeah, a lot of people sort of have said that. I mean, I think for me, I just wanted to play, and I was given the opportunity to play, and I didn't set out to, with a banner to say we will break this. That I wasn't doing it. I was just playing football. So in terms of I paved the way for something, I'm not too sure I did, because there was plenty of people before me that obviously paved the way for me to play. So I suppose we can look at it in any way. I think that I was at a time where football was getting a little bit more exposure than the people that retired before, when I was a kid coming through, and they ended their career, and everybody sort of added a little bit to it. So I think my generation of the girls that play football added something to it to allow this generation to play and get more exposure, and then they need to take it to the next level, which they're doing, and then the next generation needs to take it even further. And I think it's come a long way, but I still think it's got a long way to go.
Growing up, which footballer did you most want to be like?
Oh, that's easy. Ian Wright.
Jeez, come on, Ian Wright, right.
Yeah, Arsenal fan as well, I am. So when I saw Ian Wright play, you could just really relate to him because of, I don't know, it's like the way that we played football in school was 1 minute you're happy, You scored a goal. Next minute, you're sad. The other team have just scored. Then no one's passing the ball. You're getting frustrated. Then you score a goal. You win the game, and everything's all right, and you're happy again.
Yeah.
And that's when I watched Ian Wright. That's what I saw. All them different emotions that he showed.
What does it feel like knowing that like the next generation of female footballers or even male footballers have posters of like you or want to be like you?
Yeah, that was pretty weird. I think when sort of that started happening and I saw people, I remember it was the Euros 2005, which was held in the northwest of England, and people were walking to the games and they'd have their shirts on and they'd have my name on their shirt, and I was like, what's going on? And I was thinking, where have you got my shirt from? But yeah, so that was something that you don't really expect because no one prepares you for that.
Yeah.
No one prepared us to speak to the media. No one prepared us for all the outside things that were going to happen. We were prepared to play football, but all the other things we didn't know, and they were part of it and the part of the responsibility that you had as a footballer, but no one taught you that. And that was something that was, I suppose, different and difficult and strange. But do you know what? If I've helped somebody to play football or to enjoy it, then I'm really happy with that.
Okay, cool. Well, to be honest, I was meant to be doing research for this interview. I ended up watching big clips of you on YouTube, and I was like, you know what? I feel like
really?
kicking the ball now, bro. Literally, man. I think I saw you score. There was one goal against like Cyprus or something, where you like banged a half volley from like outside the box. And there was like another goal I saw, I think against USA.
Oh yeah. Cyprus Cup.
Yeah. Cyprus Cup. Yeah. And there was one goal you scored against USA where you just licked it top corner.
Yeah.
Which was sick. And then I saw you.
I ran the whole length of the pitch.
Yeah, literally.
I couldn't do anything else. I was so tired. I just
I think I saw you say that your favorite goal, when I think it's a sick goal, was against Birmingham in the Continental Cup final, I think. And there's an interview saying that your teammate was giving you bad passes all game, and then like she gives you another one and it just bounced off your shin, and you just whipped around and you just volleyed it into the top corner, which is a sick goal. You also scored like a free kick in that match.
That's the Ian Wright part.
Yeah, you also scored a free kick in that match. Yeah. 2 bangers in one match. If you can inspire like a 28-year-old man to want to go outside and just lace some footballs, I'm sure you can like inspire a whole generation of like young boys and girls to like get on the pitch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's nice. I think for me, that's the way I always looked at it. If I wanted people to, enjoy football the way I enjoyed football. So when people said that they liked the way that I play football, that was, it's nice to hear. And especially I think that was one of the things that why I wanted to go and work in primary schools, because it wasn't always just like people would say, oh, you inspire the girls. Well, why do I only inspire girls? I should be able to. Football is a game that can be played by anybody. So for me, it was really important to, if we're going to break down barriers as to why girls don't play football or people think they can't play football, then you have to be prepared to work with boys and girls. And that for me was about playing football and showing that football is for everybody. So I would coach anybody, and I'd even if they were no good at football, we can all get something out of it, whether we're going to become the next professional or not. We can all get the joy of football or the life skills it can bring. So I think those things were important.
So now, we mentioned that you're retired now. What are you doing are you working now? You said you're coaching. Is that something you're doing like full time now? Is it, I think it's within Brent as well, Brent and Harrow, right?
Yeah, no, I used to have a coaching company. Well, I still do have the coaching company. It works in Brent and Harrow, but I don't do so many schools because I look after the little one now. Yeah. So before her, still when I was playing, I was still working in the primary schools. I worked in many different primary schools in Brent and Harrow, coaching. Before school clubs, after school clubs, classroom lessons, so PE lessons. Yeah. So just really working with kids and just trying to show that anyone can play football. It doesn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl, but also you can get life skills out of football. So football might not have been their thing because it's not everybody's thing.
Yeah.
But what it can do is it can teach you how to problem solve quickly. It can teach you how to work in a team, which later on in their life they might look back and say, do you know what, I was able to do that because of this lesson of
Exactly.
football.
And I suppose it's all the small things, even if they don't become a professional player, your classes or your coaching had an impact on them that will help them eventually in life anyway. So I suppose that's something really positive to take from like the work you do. What did it feel like being a girl from Brent, being awarded like an OBE and an MBE? Am I right? You got both of those awards, right?
Yeah.
That must be a crazy feeling, like a crazy feeling. Obviously amazing, congratulations, but it must be hard to kind of comprehend like everything you've done because you've had a passion for it, and now people are awarding you like the biggest awards you can get, like in England.
Yeah. Quite weird, to be honest. I didn't really understand, like I didn't get it, and I was just a bit like, why me? I think the MBE was a shock, and I didn't really understand it, and to be honest, I thought it was my teammates winding me up. I thought, because you do silly things like that, you try and stitch someone up. So when I read the letter, I sort of saw it as a joke, and then realised that it wasn't. So no, that was nice. I think the OBE was probably more special because you might get something awarded to you as an individual once. You don't. As a footballer, you look to win for your team, not for individual purposes. So to get an individual award, you might, and a high one like that, you might get that once. To get it twice was just ridiculous. So, but when I looked into, thank you, what it was for, I think it meant it was more special because it was services to football, but to the coaching, to working with the kids. And I thoroughly enjoyed working with all the kids, like in the schools, and obviously setting up. We set up a grassroots football team at the back of Mitchellbrook School, Gibbons Rec, and we started off with like.
Or was that something different?
No, we set up Gibbons Wreckers.
Oh, sorry, so, Gibbons Wreckers.
No, that's all right. We let the kids name it, and we named it after the park that it was in.
Nice.
And we started off with where it was my soccer school that I used to hold their training sessions. They come for 6 weeks training, and then that'd be it. And then you come for another 6 weeks. And some of the kids wanted to start the team. A friend of mine had started a team and wanted to play against someone. So I took a group of kids up to Peckham. I drove the minibus.
Wow.
It was good until I realised the traffic coming back from Peckham, and I had a group of kids in the back of the van singing songs. I was like, oh my God, this was a really bad idea. But, I mean, for some of them, they, first time I'm going out of the area. So the football team was set up and started myself, and I got a couple of the parents to come on board. Some great people, that were just parents. They weren't football coaches, and they bought into everything. And we had a lot of people that had run football teams before telling me, oh, well, don't let, because of where we are, don't let these kids in, and don't let the traveller community in, because that would be bad. No, we were open to everybody, because it was just about, a football team for the community. And it wasn't about winning. And a lot of people, when we go out to tournaments, there was a lot of pressure on the kids that wore our shirt, because people saw me and automatically went, oh, that's Rachel's team, we want to beat them.
Yeah.
And thought that we were elite. And we weren't elite. It was about giving everybody the opportunity. They all played the same subs to play for the team. So they all got, an equal time on the pitch and an opportunity to show what they can do. And that's what it was about. And I know we started off with about 20 or 30 kids, and then we ended up with about 200. We ended up with so many kids that we didn't have enough volunteers, and we ended up folding the team, unfortunately, because it became too big for itself. And at Gibbons Recreation Ground, there's lots of different entrances and exits, and I just felt it wasn't safe to put that many kids in that park. We couldn't account for it all. So yeah, unfortunately the team sort of folded, but we tried to help kids go to different teams. But I think the 7 years I think we ran, like,
Wow.
fantastic time. And you know, I still speak to people and sometimes see some of the kids and they still talk about it, and that's probably the biggest thing that I've done in terms of changing people's lives. I mean, I spoke to one of the coaches. He was a dad who came, helped out, then ended up taking over a team and coaching it and giving everything. And he said, I miss it so much. You know, and he was like, that was the best time of my life doing that. And how much it means to people. And he thanked me for letting him do it. And I was like, you should thank me. You gave up to so much time. So, you know, to join in. So, you know, grassroots football is definitely something that needs passionate people and needs help, because it's so difficult, but it's so rewarding in terms of, you know, the kids that we've seen. Okay, I don't know if any of them have, but I don't believe any of them have gone on to become footballers, but they definitely had fun doing that, and I know the coaches did. So
That's
yeah,
the main
it's good.
thing, just promoting fun. And like you said, you do learn life skills. And if anything, it's just a memory you have, an amazing memory where you met cool people, you might have made friends for life there.
Yeah.
Learn a couple of skills, you know, kick some ball, and you know what, man, like those skills later on in life. I know at my age, people love to like jump on five-a-side, and thankfully all the, you know, the footballing stuff I did before, you know, I still got a half decent touch, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna round it off ever so slowly, but I just wanted to know, are you still living in Northwest in Brent area?
I don't still live in Brent. I live up the road in Barnet. Sorry.
Okay.
No, but my mum still lives in Brent, so I'm always still down there.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm always still around my mum.
What is it like coming back and forth? Do you like just reminisce? Like, oh, I always used to go to this chip shop, or like what's it like?
Oh yeah. I don't feel like I've ever left, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm always around there. So yeah, it's just same old. Yeah, it's changed. Like Brent's got a little bit more trendy, but yeah. Wembley's changed a lot in terms of like the buildings all around it. It looks different, but I suppose it's still the same old place, isn't it?
You played at Wembley, right?
Yeah, a couple of times.
That's mad. That's sick. What's it like playing there, like in front of so many people? Especially like from your area. Do you know what I'm saying? As in, like that's your borough.
Yeah, I think that the biggest one was obviously 2012 in the Olympics. We played Brazil there.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much sold out. I think it was. I can't remember how many it was, but it was. I think the biggest thing for me was after the game, looking down, what's it called now, Olympic Way, but Wembley Way, and just seeing so many people. Like, you know, when you've gone to a game and then you're waiting to get to train home, and you're just in that people jam, and you can't go nowhere. Well, seeing that for a women's football game, it was probably the highlight. Just thinking, oh my God, all these people came to this game to watch us. And the tickets were expensive in the Olympics. They weren't cheap. There weren't no freebies. So they all paid money to come and watch the game. They sang, they enjoyed, and now they're all jammed in that going home. This feels like a normal game that I could relate to, going to a cup final or something like that. And it was just, it was mad. Yeah.
That's sick, man. That's amazing. And I'm sure they didn't mind waiting in that queue, to be honest, because they just witnessed it's history, to be honest. Like, when's the next time we're going to host the Olympics? You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%, yeah.
Like, and then, you know, you're at the biggest stadium in the country, you're watching the women's team play, it's the Olympics. Like, come on, man. That's a lifetime memory. You know what I'm saying? Especially
definitely.
Having the opportunity to play there as well. It's like, right, it must be like crazy for you as well.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah. Are you writing an autobiography?
No.
No. You think that's something you do? I'd buy it.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, 100%, man. You're from Brent, bro. That's another thing. Like, I got to rep my area. Like, I'm over the past, like, I don't know what it is, 5 years, I've grown an appreciation of like where I was born and where I'm growing up. I'd never ever want to leave, like, ever. Like, I would love to be able to buy a house here, but you know, it's peas nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no joke. Like, this is serious.
I know.
But as in, like, I love it. And when I hear other people, like, everyone talks about South London, everyone talks about East London, all the rappers are from there, bruv, man, I'm talking about Northwest. I don't care about anywhere else. That's why I'm so happy that I'm talking to like amazing people from the area, like yourself, because I think it's just, like you said, like you weren't really exposed to women footballers growing up, so you weren't really aware that was going on. But I feel like it's imperative that we are able to target people from this area and put stories like yours out there. So there are, you know, I don't know, Sophia from year 6 in like some next school who watches this and might like, you know what, they might start researching you and seeing how your journey and then see, oh, I can do that too. Or, you know, just those small little impacts these things can have. And I think it's super important to share that and kind of archive that and have some sort of like history of people that have done cool things from the area. And I'm super gassed that I've managed to have this conversation with you.
No, bless you. No, thank you.
And for joining as well, man, because you didn't have to, you know what I'm saying? And you've taken the time out. I've even got you to come downstairs and look after your kid on the camera, you know what I mean? So,
Right now,
look at her. Oh, she got a bun like me, bro. We got matching hairstyle. All of us got matching hairstyle.
This is neater than hers, man.
I just want to thank you again for taking the time for joining us on Brent Locked In. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to speak to you. It's crazy to think that I've just had this interview with you, to think that I used to watch you on TV and you're like the only person. Whenever someone asked me about female footballers, I'd always say your name. So it's crazy.
Really?
Like, it's mad. Honestly, you'd be like, Rachel Yankey. I'm not just saying making that up. That is like genuinely the truth, because you're the only one I knew. So yeah, literally. If people wanted to follow your journey or like anything like that, do you use Twitter? Do you use Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not the most the best person on technology, so forgive me. But yeah, at Rachel Yankey 11. So yeah, come and join.
You know about that. I've been Moeed Majeed. You can follow me at Moeed Majeed original. Obviously, you can follow London Borough of Culture at LBOC 2020. Follow them for all the updates and stuff, and for what else is going on during London Borough of Culture. Thank you again for joining me, Rachel, on Brent Locked In. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day, kind of gassed. I'm not going to lie. I might watch some more videos. And yeah, man, thank you so much.
Thank you. You take care.